Hi there, and welcome to the BIMvoice podcast. My name is Petru and I'm glad to have you here. I'm a civil engineer living and working in Norway since 2014, and I'm passionate about building information modeling. I truly believe change is necessary and inevitable in our industry. To implement faster, better, and less costly ways of working, digital transformation is vital, and everyone involved must stop just talking about implementing BIM and actually do it. And what way to do it better than just to learn from the ones who have done it in the past or are doing it right now? Hello, and welcome to the BIMvoice podcast. Today's guest is Thomas Aas. He's working as a project leader BIM for Bane NOR, a state-owned company responsible for the national railway infrastructure in Norway. The project he is working on right now is called Utbygging Drammen Kobbervikdalen, and this is the first project where Bane NOR has specified in the contract with the general contractor that all the information is connected to the objects from the 3D model, and where will be no usual paper-based documentation except for some detailed drawings. Hi Thomas.
Hello, Petru.
It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation to come here to speak. I think we need more channels to share experiences and thing around BIM. So this is a very good thing.
That's so nice to hear. I truly believe the same. Why don't we start telling us a little bit about yourself and what are you doing?
Yes, well, as you said, my name is Thomas Aas. I'm 34 years old and I live in a town called Tønsberg, south of Drammen, and I work for Bane NOR through a company called Centerpoint, where I'm the BIM manager on the project and follow up on the discipline of BIM and planning. The project is a new railway to 2 tracks from Kobbervikdalen and into the Drammen station. We are building a 600-700 meter long tunnel through rock and go over to a cut and cover tunnel on 275 meters before we enter the Drammen station. And we are building a new station in Drammen. So it's a pretty big contract.
And challenging, as it's
challenging, yes. One of the main challenges on the project is that we have to do this in many phases because we have to keep the train going through all the projects. So we are started to build in 2019 and we are planned to be finished and open the new tracks in 2024.
That sounds impressive. Quite a short span to finish the project actually compared to other projects.
Yes, it's a tight schedule and we are finishing the railroads for every phase. So we are moving the tracks through the city to handle the trains. So it's a lot of models to make this happen.
Yeah, that must be stressful but cool at the same time.
Yeah, it's challenging and fun and development to work on this way. You have to be hands-on.
Can you tell us a little bit about why this project is a little bit more special than the other ones for Bane NOR?
Well, this is the first big contract where we gone this far in the BIM world. We are not delivering usual drawings to complement the models. We are fully BIM as far as we can go today, and we are collecting information on the objects in the model as supposed when you're working in BIM. And we are demanding of contractors that they have to manage to build through the model. So we won't support with additional drawings unless the views that we have already.
I understand.
So we are trying to take the next step in the BIM world in infrastructure. So it's pretty new standards, I will say.
Can you actually tell us a little bit what kind of challenges actually, what do you think it's difficult right now? Why don't we do this already?
Well, I think the traditional way where we got drawings is something that's well established in the business. So we're used to doing it this way, and we have through the last 10 years, starting with models, and we started in the early phases on the projects, and we developed closer and closer to where we are managing to build by the models. So I think from the start of 2010 to today, we have the development that we needed to get the experience, and I think we've been pretty heads on in Norway, but it takes time. And it takes time because we're doing something new and we are getting experience on the way. And that's one of the challenging with working with BIM. You have to be patient because you are getting new ways to find new solutions to do things you've done before in a more effective way and a better way, and to comprehend with the digital world.
Yeah.
And that's the big goal here, is to be building like we should be building in the 2000s. Yeah.
I assume one of the biggest challenges here is because we must involve so many actors in this process,
Yes.
right? We work with so many parties, and that is really not easy to do, especially, yeah, everybody wants to make it in their own way, right? So this is definitely a big challenge. And that's why maybe this new kind of project, like from asset owner to require to be for the project to be built in a certain way, it will definitely push over this mindset, the BIM mindset. What did you do before? If you can tell us a little bit more about working with BIM, what other interesting things did you do
Yeah.
before?
I started my education in Porsgrunn on the University of South, it's called now, on the line for building and infrastructure bachelor. And I wrote my bachelor degree with 3 others for Statens vegvesen, another big public developer in Norway that's focused on roads. And when we finished the bachelor, I got hired there, and I was a road planner for some years before I got hired or moved over to a bigger project in Statens vegvesen in a city called Larvik, where we build new highway, the last part of highway through Vestfold, with a big tunnel and 2 big tunnels and a special bridge. It was a design bridge to reflect the area because it's close to a famous lake and a famous wood that's important historical means in Norway. So we designed a bridge to reflect that. So the bridge is in a curve with big towers that's they are leaning out from the bridge. So it was difficult engineering, but a spectacular bridge. So I was the BIM manager on that project, and in the last year of my contract with Statens vegvesen, I was the BIM manager at the region that I was in, supporting other projects as well. And I went over to Bane NOR now in September last year, and into this project. So I've been working with models and BIM since pretty much I started in Statens vegvesen in 2011, so about 9 years now.
I see. What kind of tools are you using or you used in your path?
Well, from school and in the start in Statens vegvesen, I used AutoCAD and Naviswork mostly, and then little Gemini to support it. But I have a surveyor, the surveyors I work with are very good in Gemini, so we kind of divide the programs between me and the surveyors, so they use the same product as the entrepreneurs, and I focus more on the programs that the planners are using. So mainly it's been AutoCAD, Civil, and with NOA points. In the last years, it's been more Naviswork. In Drammen Kobbervikdalen, we are using Naviswork to combine the models and to be our platform for all the disciplines. and some other programs I've been looking into, but that's the main programs. Yeah.
Can you say a little bit more actually about these programs? Might be not very well known outside Norway actually. NovaPoint and Gemini. What do they do?
NovaPoint is a planning program mainly to plan the infrastructure like roads and railway, where you put in the maps and the information that you have about existing infrastructure, and then you can plan and use. And they have a lot of solutions to plan this. Gemini is I would say a more contractor surveyor equipment, but they also both programs you can do controls and checks and planning. So they are pretty robust programs, I would say, and they are used a lot in Norway. So in Norway, it's more standard to use this program.
If we can go back a little bit, because actually I might have been delayed too much this question. How do you define BIM? What is BIM for you actually?
It's a good question. For me, it's well, building information model. It's a platform to combine every information and everything you know about the objects in the digital world. And for me, when I started as a planner and working with models, it just lights up as a better way to control what you've been planning and see the whole picture. So that was the start for me, is that you can see every discipline together and combine them and see collisions and challenging before you actually find them out in the field. And then it's development with more information in, and on Drammen Kobbervikdal now, where we put in a lot of information on the objects. We use attributes a lot to define what's happening. And we also combine the model to the contract. So it's linked. We use Norconsult, that's been our consultant. They combine. They are planned all the whole building aspect of it, and they are combining the models directly into the contract, so they can get the amounts, the meter and tons directly from the model. So when you change something in the model, you can get it directly into the contract. So they are combined together. And this is something I think for the business is important in the future to be more agreeable about what we're actually saying in the contract text. Because now when you are highlighting a point in the contract, you can see what objects that are connected to that part of the contract in the model. And if you highlight them in the model, you can see what part in the contract it's belong to. So it's more transparency. And I think that's important in the future, because we are seeing bigger and bigger contracts, and there's a lot of details that's going to be correct. And I think BIM is a good way to make sure that we have the right foundation for what we're going to do.
Yeah. Even if the BIM concept is popular for such a long time, I still see quite often quite limited understanding of this actually. I'm baffled to see so many people still believing that BIM is actually only 3D model.
Yeah.
What more do you think is BIM?
I think what you call it, the BIM word, is when we started, it kind of misused a little, because as you say, we started with 3D models, we model drawings, and we called it BIM, but it was only a model-based project. So we had this in Statens Vegvesen, where I worked. We tried in a manual about this that we worked out. We tried to separate the things. If you are only a 3D model, it's a model-based project. for it to be BIM, you have to connect information through to the objects, and we have few projects that's on that level this far. And I think that's what we've done on Drammen Kobbervikdalen. We are delivering a BIM model because we got information in there. And we have connected the contract. So we have the economy combined to the model in some way. So, and this is where we want to go in BIM. Well, you want to combine them together. You want to see timeline. You want to see all of these other things. So there are a lot of levels to do this. And but most important, it is that you get the information into the model, and not that you have to go other ways to look for the information to support the model. You're going to find it where you work in the model.
Okay, I see. I understand. Are there any plans that this model is going to be used for more than just to build the project, to run it as well later?
Yes, this is one of the, I think, the next challenge in infrastructure is the maintenance part. We, as I said earlier, we started the BIM experience and the run from the early phases of a project, the early planning of a project. And now we come to the stage where we manage to build through the model, and we are getting the information and the object data that we need to build from the model. And now the next step is to how do we deliver the as-built construction site to the next phase of the project's life cycle. And that's maintenance. And it's a challenge because they have other needs than we need to build the project. We are building 10 kilometers of rail, and that's a small part of what they are maintaining. Yeah. So you have this system today that's maintenance by the drawings and PDFs and some 2D DVGs. And we want to go over to, hey, here is our 3D BIM model, and we want you to maintain this. So it's a new step for them as well. And we don't have all the solutions today. I think it's important to find these solutions quick, because we are building a modern digital solution, and we have quality data with a lot of information on the objects. And if we are going to go down to the old way to maintenances, we lose a lot of good
value.
Yes. So and I think the new projects that get finished now, they have experience in building by it, and they know how to use this data. And I think this is the ideal point to starting to say, okay, we use these projects to get digital data for maintenance, and we have to find a way. And maybe as in Drammen Kobbervik, where we are doing this in phases, we are deliver some for every phase, and we can get experience together with the maintenance if we can go that way. But it's the big next step for model and BIM in infrastructure, I think, to figure out the maintenance part, because if you figure that out, you will be ahead of the other companies, and you will also get the really big savings in efficiency and in money, because this is a better data, it's better platform, it's more for the future.
Yes, it's quite funny actually, because we focus so much on the shortest planning and the building, which is a very small percentage of the entire life cycle of a building, right? Because yeah, that might be maybe 5 or 10% of the entire use of the building, right? We are involving way too little the owners actually. We just build after our engineering roles with our tools we have. And after that, we start thinking about this. Might be helpful to involve more the owners in the planning maybe, so they can pinpoint what they actually need. This might be one of the problems. I really think that, owners are very little involved in this, and they don't get heard about what they actually need the building for.
Yes, they see the end date. So for our project, the end date is 2024. Then they are going to take over the project, and they say a lot of we figure this out. But for us, it's now. We are starting to deliver as built data today, and I think also a lot of the focus is on all the risks from going on from the known way to do this to the unknown, and we focus on the risks, and the risks are short term because we will manage them, we will find the solutions, and we have to start to get experience. We won't solve the risk before we take that leap and start to get experience, and the only way to get experience is to try. And I think we have so focus on the risks instead of to see on the long-term gains, because as you said, this is the big part of that life cycle. It's the biggest part is the maintenance of it, and the upsides of finding out how to maintenance by the BIM world is so big. And yes, you have some short times risks because you have the risk that you have someone that haven't done this before, and suddenly instead of a paper you get a pad and you get a model and you're going to find things. Yes, that's someone have to be learned and you have to do it. But when you have done that part, it's a short-term risk. Then you are up and going.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, I understand now better actually after you just said that. It's also the owner's fault as well, because they are afraid to involve themselves more and take more risk in the project, because what they do actually, they delegate the entire responsibility to the builder and to the designer, right? And they expect it to be perfect. It makes no sense. If you want to have something that you want to use it at maximum potential, you should be involved from the start to know the reasons behind why are you building what you build, who is going to use it, and take this into account. All the other experts to take this into account and have this at least consider it.
Yes, and we take the time to sit down. This is what we deliver today. What is the things that you get out of this? How do you use it? And tell us this, and we can deliver the same in this way, and you can get the same information in this way, and it will be digital and easy to get. So the distance from yourself to the solution will be shorter when you go over to the BIM world, but it takes some time to get there. But we have to start somewhere. We have to start. And I think sometimes you will hear the argument that we don't have the solution today, so we have to wait. But if we all wait, we never will get the solution.
For someone else to implement it instead of trying.
Yes. And instead of waiting, why not take charge of it and say, okay, we know what we want in the end. Let's find a way to do it and be a participant in it.
Exactly.
But I think there are focus on this in the business. But as I said earlier, you have to be patient in this, because there's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of people that have to agree on that this is how we're supposed to do it, and there's a lot of details that has to fit. But sometimes you have to just say, okay, we take this part and we try, and we make some experience, and we start.
You know, Thomas, I cannot be patient. That's why I started this podcast. I can't be patient. I must push forward. I really hope to help people to understand better from the experts I will have as guests here, why do we actually need this and why we don't need to wait anymore, and we need to start using it right now. It's so easy to say that we don't have the solution today because you did not see a project where it has been used yet, like there are going to be many examples here, or because you did not put enough effort into researching and see what can actually be done. In the digital age we live right now, that is not going to work too long,
No.
because the growth, it's exponential right now. We've done the same things for 2000 years. and we keep doing it the same way. I don't think we still have a lot of time to do that. So I really hope to help people understand better this and why do we need this, because it can be done quicker. And I think this is also part of why companies and asset owners are not involving themselves more. Yeah, there are many things going forward, I'm seeing that, but there is much room for improvement, of course. And besides of this misunderstanding or limited understanding of BIM, right? Because even designers or constructors or asset owners, for too long they have seen BIM as just a 3D model, and they choose to ignore the most important part from this, and that being the information, because the model is just one part. But everything involved in the project you need to take into account and must be here included from the start to the end, from when you plan it until you use it and how you use it, right? Are there any other misconceptions about BIM you are aware about except this?
I think you have a good point in that with people are looking on the model as BIM and model as this what we have been calling the show-off model, or what you're gonna say, where the water is the way you have waves, you have the wind, it looks perfect, and this is the end product we want to show. In the early phases, we want to show everyone that's going to be touched by the project how the end will be. But when we start building, that's not the model we use. We use the technical model where we have the disciplines, we can see the collisions, we can and we can build by it, and we have full control of every discipline up against each other, and we don't have that in the standard 2D world. And we have to solve a lot of issues out in the field that we now, when you manage to use the model the right way, the contractor will spot conflicts and challenges before they are out in the field, and we have a discussion to how to solve it before it's get too big or we get to there. And of course we still solve things out in the field, it's not that, but a lot more are solved earlier, and that's a big money saver for every part, because it saves times for everyone. I think there are many arguments of why not to use the model that's over the time come, and they come because we try to find good arguments to why to do it like we always do. We are comfortable. People are comfortable. We like to do it like we do it, and there should be a very good reason if I'm going to do it another way. And you people say we've been building roads and railways for hundreds of years. We know what we do, and it's always been a good end product. But that's not the goal here. It's not to find another solution. Just do the same. Is to find better ways to come to the goal quicker, and how to reduce the challenges and the issues that known issues. We know these issues come on every project earlier, and now we are pointing them out because we have the experience. Okay, this is usual a problem. We can go in the 3D world and we can watch them and we solve them. I think one important issues that we have to solve is that the end product or the end user in every part of the cycle gets a good use of it. So if someone easy got information from the drawing earlier, and the solution today makes it harder for that person, we have to work to then this is going the wrong way for that person. So we have to find good solutions for everyone. But often that's is that you need experience about it, and you need to be coursed or learned how to use new platforms.
Yeah, because another reason, for complaint, it has been that we don't have the technology to do it. But yeah, we've seen today robots building full houses in some countries, and yeah, we just must stop looking for excuses and just try new things, new ways.
The solutions is out there. We just have to find them, and I think some of the solutions we might lack today is this the perfect program that's have everything. But I think the way we're going and the way that this we will get used to that we have to use more programs. But if we say this we need, if a program can solve this for us, that's very important. There are a lot of companies standing out there and will do a lot to fix that problem for us.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's important for the owners, the contract client, like the big national companies, like Bane NOR, Statens vegvesen. If we okay, this is how we want it, there are people going to solve it because it's they want to solve this for us because they want us to use their programs.
That's so true.
So we have to be heads on what solutions we need to be solved. If we find a challenge that we need to be solved to use the models, we just have to put it out there and say this is important.
Yeah.
And then they will find programmers to fix that.
Yeah. And actually, I think another misconception about BIM, it's the limitation to a software. I've seen this. I don't know if you are aware of this, but it's so much marketing, and every software is BIM. But you won't see any software that they say we are working we are a small part of BIM. They are BIM, right? If you use that software, you are doing BIM, and that's another misconception, I think.
Yeah, it's the whole package. So you're a part of it, but it's
there are more solutions. It's not one do all. Leaving aside a little bit the complaints, let's talk a little bit about what's exciting in our industry. What are the topics you are excited about? What's happening today that we are not doing and you think is going to be cool if we are going to do it or not, like technology wise?
I think what's good is that just the last years there's been the shift has come, and the companies have more like philosophy about we're going to be best in BIM. We are going to do most. So when I started in this industry, it was like I was running around and holding presentation to why should we do BIM. And now we are focusing more how to do BIM. And that excites me. It's more focused on how to solve this. How can we do this? What is the best way to do this? And when we have that focus, we are sharing experiences, and that's when you really elevate the experience we get and the evolvement of this. So that's a big positive thing. So I think the leaders have now taken a standpoint and say, no, we're doing this, and that's most important.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really positive actually to hear. But I think you're talking mainly about Norway.
Yes, probably, but someone has to start, and I think that excites me as well. That I am fortunate to live and work in a country that's wanted to be ahead of this, and there are other countries too that we are working together and sharing information with. But I think, yeah, Norway is one of in the front here, and that's excitement, because we find good solutions, and we put the path.
Yeah, it's nice
And
to be the, yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
you get the chance to try different things.
it will be difficult if we were in 10 years working the same way we did 20 years ago, and then was going to say, okay, no, we're going to do BIM, because you are 30 years of gap you have to close. We are doing this step by step, and it's the best way to get into you have to do it step by step, and it has taken time, but every step is a bigger step, I think, and we move faster and faster, and I think it's very excitement at the work. And we see that other countries around in Europe, they are watching what Norway are doing, and follow us. So it's inspirational when you work like that, to know that you are pushing.
It's really powerful to be the change. Yes.
Yeah. And I think we are trying new solutions all the time, and some solutions we find, okay, this is not ready yet. We can't use it yet, but we see the potential in the horizon, and you have a next project, you think, okay, maybe this time with AR and VR and all of these solutions, you have a lot of things happening, and you have we see now in these special times that we are in with Corona and stuff, we have another use of surveying equipment that's been used to mapping and showing, and we have drones. We have in Drammen Kobikdalen, they have morning coffee meetings where all the people from the owner or from the contract client, we are sitting together, and one is out holding his phone on and filming. He's walking around filming the site, and another one is out with the drone and fly over and film. Yes. So we are all having the chance to see what's happening out on the site without being there.
And you talk about what is happening there. This is the topic of your discussions?
Yes.
Like you talk about what you see through the drone. Wow.
Yes.
That sounds really cool.
So, and getting the update in the where are we now? What have we done since yesterday? What is the challenge here? And like we have a lot of people following up, and I think we're starting now to see in a better way the use of a lot of technology that we kind of been awaiting to take a use of, and we are finding even more ways to use this.
COVID-19, it's helping with that, definitely.
Yes, it's helping for technology. It's pushing us think new ways to solve things, and I think when it comes to BIM and every discipline connected to it, kind of where we're starting, you are always working on finding the best way to solve things. Okay, how can we do this? How can we get this into the models? And you have that mindset. So I think that's what I think is the most fun with working with BIM is kind of that challenge. You are, and you have to help people, because you are, when you work with BIM, you are expecting that everyone is going to come over into this world, and they are going from the old way, and they've done that, and you have to be ready to help them. And and that's what I find the most rewarding, I think, when someone that's been working in one way in many years and have lots of experience, and he comes over to this new, you're going to use new programs, new solutions, and when you get this person going, and they have all this experience from the real life building, they're starting to see, why can't this thing do this? Why can't this program solve this for me? I always wanted to, and why doesn't have this? And that's when you And sometimes we say, yeah, it's possible to do it. You can do it like this, you can do it. And they're like, oh, cool. And other times you will say, that's a good question. I take that back to we should have, yeah, it should solve that. But we need people to say what they need from the programs, what they need from the BIM models. So the more people in there, more people using it, the better it will be.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, what would you recommend to someone who's passionate maybe about BIM or interested, but they are not still working with BIM? What should they do? What should they start doing in order to maybe switch to BIM or a full-time position where they can be involved in this and leave behind the old ways, if you can put it that way?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a big question, and it's complicated because from where you go, there's a lot of ways in. But I think the first of all is you just have to be curious about it. You have to just start, okay, and talk about people from, if you are from special discipline, okay, what other projects is out there that's doing this in BIM and starting to. I think in Norway, I think we are pretty open with our experiences and how we do things. So when you ask someone, you often get the question, well, what do you use? What do you do? How do you do this? You will often get some pointers and good information. And I think going to conferences about BIM, there are a lot of them, especially in Norway. We have a lot of good ones, and to get some connections and talk to the projects that are doing BIM today is the right way to start. And then you find, okay, they are using these solutions. Look into it. Is this a solution for me? You have to start somewhere. And I think I always find myself asking others. I like to talk to others, like to troubleshooting with people. I find a lot of learning in that. I think for me, I'm being a little lucky because when I started in this, I started at the time where they've been talking about BIM before I started, but there was a little shift there. We started to get projects that was doing model-based projects, and I was lucky to get involved and started, and I've been on the run. I had good people around me, very experienced people in the project in Larvik. I was lucky to have a very competent team around me with a lot of experience to follow up the project, and I can focus on supporting them with what I can do in the model. And I learned a lot through that. And I had good opponents, if you're going to call it that, from the contractors, from the planners. I've been lucky to have good people to troubleshoot with.
Yeah, that sounds good, but we cannot wait for someone else. You are actually talking about self-learning.
Yeah.
You need to put in the effort, or otherwise nobody will come and get you. Yeah, okay, come here. Now you can do BIM. You need to be curious. You need to want to be better and to learn new things if you want to advance in your career, of course.
You asked me this earlier, but this is maybe one of the mistakes we do. We are waiting for the experience to show up. If you're going to be experienced, you have to find the experience yourself, and you have to learn, and you have to fail, and you have to do the right things. And I think I've been around on other projects, visiting other projects, telling about my project, hearing about their projects, and things that have not been an issue on the projects that I've been working on has been an issue on other projects. And you get to hear this, and you're like, "Oh, I got lucky because that didn't happen to be a issue where I'm at, but it could have been." note that yourself. Okay, I have to be aware of this because that's something we have to solve for the next project, so we don't have that in the next instance. You have to collect all these things and work on them. So I think that's the where we are now. That's one of the biggest way to start with BIM is you just have to start getting experience, go around on conference, talking to projects, talking to people I know, and then you have to get your own opinion on things and find the solutions.
Yeah, but you need to act anyway. No matter what kind of advice you take, you need to act at the end yourself. If you want, you will just be there. Well, Thomas, it was awesome to have you here. Thank you very much for everything you shared with us. And I wish you good luck.
And thank you for having me, and good luck with the podcast in the future.